Bugungi darsimizda Cambridge 10-kitobimizning Test 2 Passage 2 analizini ko'rib chiqamiz va birinchi navbatda bu tekst nima haqida ekanligini va bizdan nimani o'qish kutilayotganligini tushunish maqsadida titlni o'qib chiqamiz va bu qismda o'zingiz ko'rganingizdek Gifted Children and Learning, ya'ni bu qismda iqtidorli bolalar va o'rganish haqida ekan. Va undan keyin esa savol turlarini ko'rib chiqqan holda bizdan qanaqa skilllarni ishlatishimiz mumkin, qanaqa strategiyalarni qo'llash mumkin, shuni ko'rib chiqamiz va bu qismda o'zingiz ko'rganingizdek which paragraph contains the following information, bu degani bu berilgan ma'lumotlar qaysi paragraflarda bor. And B, notabene, you may use and later more than once. Demak, bitta ladderni ikki marta, kamida bitta ladderni ikki marta ishlatishimiz kerak bo'lar ekan. Xo'p, bu yerda 3 ta 6 ta oltita ladder bor, 3 tasini ishlatar ekanmiz faqatgina xolos. Undan keyin list of people matching people. 5 ta people ni match qilar ekanmiz. Undan keyin esa no more than 2 words feelings gap bo'lar ekan. Demak, bu qismda meni taxminimcha butun qismni o'qiymiz. Masalan, 3 ta paragraf o'qiymiz, javoblarni topishga harakat qilamiz va keyingi 3 ta paragraf o'qigan holda javoblarni topishga harakat qilamiz. Chunki masalan, matching informationni bilmaysiz qayerdan nima kelishini. Mana buni ehtimol juda ham katta emas, juda ham kam, qiyin bu savollarda birinchi navbatda savolni o'qib olib, keyin javoblarni topish. Shuning uchun ham birinchi marta tekstni o'qiganimiz yaxshi va bundan keyin ham mana bu qismda ham xuddi shunaqa vaziyat bo'ladi. Baribir tekstni o'qigan bo'lish bizga yuqoriroq ROI, return on investment beradi. Shuning uchun keyin birgalikda o'qishni boshlaymiz. International giftedness is most frequently determined as a score on a general intelligence test, or known as IQ test, which is above a chosen cut-off point, usually around top 2 to 5%. Children's educational environment contributes to IQ score and the way intelligence is used. Okay, for example, a very close positive relationship was found when children's IQ scores were compared with their home education provision. Home education provision Freeman etgan ekan. The higher children's IQ scores, especially over 130, the better the quality of their education backup. Measured in terms of reported verbal interactions with parents, number of books and activities in their home. Because IQ tests are decidedly influenced by what child has learned, they are to some extent measures of current achievements based on age norm. What is how well the children have learned to manipulate their knowledge, and how within the terms of the test. The vocabulary aspect, for example, is dependent on having heard those words. But IQ test can neither identify the process of learning and thinking, nor predicting creativity. Demak, shunda learning, thinking, creativity ni belgilab bera olmas ekan, lekin IQ haqida ma'lumotlar berilgan. B, excellence doesn't emerge without appropriate help. To reach an exceptionally high standard in any area, very able children need means to learn, in which includes material to work with and focus this challenging tuition and encouragement to follow their dreams. There appears to be qualitative difference in the way the intellectually highly able think compared to with more average ability or older pupils, for whom external regulation by the teacher often compensates for lack of internal regulation. To be at their most effective at their self-regulation, all children can be helped to identify their own ways of learning. Metacognition, which will include strategies of planning, monitoring, evaluation, and choice of what to learn. Emotional awareness is also part of metacognition. So children should be helped to be aware of their feelings around the area to be learned. Feelings of curiosity or confidence, for example. Demak, shunda birinchi qism IQ, ikkinchi qism esa metacognition haqida berilgan. Ikkita paragraf o'qidik, keyin javoblarni topishga harakat qilamiz. Reference to the influence of domestic background on the gifted children. Bu qismda domestic background haqida mana yozilgan. Ma'lumot educational environment, parents, number of books and activities at their home haqida ma'lumot berilgani sababli buni qilib olishga qaror qilamiz. Keyingi qismda reference to what can be lost if learners can give too much guidance. Can be lost, too much guidance haqida o'qimadik. Refers to damaging effects of anxiety and o'qimadik. Examples of classroom techniques which favor socially disadvantaged children haqida ma'lumotni ko'rdik. Classroom techniques, which is probably external regulations socially disadvantaged degan bu qismda. Social disadvantage'ni o'qimadik hozircha menimcha. Shuning uchun faqatgina endi belgilab turamiz. Qolgan uchtasini keyin topamiz. Xo'p, Freeman'ni bittasini o'qidik, mana bu qismda bor. Less time can be spent on exercise, self-reliance, give to children how not. Very good to children. I don't know, what is it? Home education. I don't know, maybe hali ko'rmadik, bilmadim. I found that strong connection between children's IQ and availability of something and something at home. Bordi bu. Education backup measured availability of books and activities at home. Books and activities. Mana shu bo'lish kerak menimcha. Oh, что ketdi? Books ketdi. And activities. Books and activities. Children of average ability seem to need more direction from teachers because they don't have internal something. They don't have internal, what is it? Yeah, here. What is it? Here, where is it? Yeah, internal regulation. Because they don't have, lack, synonym, don't have internal regulation spams. Regulation. Keying terms. Metacognition involves children understanding their own learning strategies as well as developing something. Or ways of learning and identify their own ways of learning, which will include strategies of planning, blah blah blah. Emotional awareness is also a part. Developing emotional awareness. Emotional awareness. Emotional awareness bo'ladi bu javobimiz. Keyingi o'tamiz. Teachers who rely on what is known as something often produce sets of impressive grades. Bu haqida o'qimadik hozircha. Xo'p, 3 ta savolga javob topdik. Bu qismda 4 ta savolga javob topdik ikkita paragrafda. Keyingilarni ham shunaqa produktiv bo'ladi deb umid qilamiz. Keyingisiga o'tib ketamiz. High achievers have been found to use self-regulatory learning strategies more often and more efficiently than lower achievers. Often and efficiently, and are better able to transfer these strategies to deal with unfamiliar tasks. Okay. This happens to such a high degree in some children that they appear to be demonstrating talent in particular areas. Overviewing research on the thinking growth of highly able children. Put the instructor's problem succinctly. If they gifted to merely think more quickly, then we need to only teach more quickly. If they merely make fewer errors, we can shorten the practice. But of course, there's not entirely the case. Adjustments have to be made in methods of learning and teaching to take account of many ways individuals think. Yet, in order to learn by themselves, gifted need some support from their teachers. Conversely, teachers who have a tendency to over-direct can diminish their gifted people's learning autonomy. Also, spoon feeding can produce an extremely high examination results. Demoqsini spoon feeding bo'lar ekan mana bu javobimiz. Teachers who rely on what is known as spoon feeding often produce sets of impressive grades in class text. Mana extremely high exam results. Demoqsini spoon feeding. Og'ziga tiqib qo'yadi o'zi. Chaynab o'sha spoon feeding deyiladi. Hop, bu qism tugadi. Can produce extremely high results, which are not always followed by equally impressive life success. Too much dependence on teachers risks lots of loss of autonomy and motivation to discover. However, when teachers help pupils to reflect on their own learning, thinking activities, they increase their pupils' self-regulation. Self-regulation. For a young child, it may be just simple question, what have you learned today? Which helps them to recognize what you're doing. Given that the fundamental goal of education is to transfer the control of learning from teachers to pupils, improving pupils' learning to learn techniques should be a major outcome of the school experience, especially for the highly competent. There are quite a number of methods which can help, such as child-initiated learning, ability per tutoring. Such practices have found to be practically useful for bright children from deprived areas. I understand. Kishi bor hozir bu qismda javoblarni topishimiz kerak. Dedim, mezonlar bergan ekan. To'sin qodirib ketarkanmiz demak yana bir marta. keling javoblarni topishga harakat qilamiz. Reference what can be lost if learners are given too much over-direct, diminish autonomy xususida ma'lumot bor. Shu uchun ham D-ni olamiz, chunki ko'p over-direct bo'lsa o'zining autonomiyasi yo'qolar ekan. Reference to damaging effects of anxiety hali o'qimadik. Examples of classroom techniques favor social disadvantaged children. Mana o'qisunda deprived class social disadvantages, such practices, techniques and evidence-based learning and ability peer tutoring bu ham D bo'ladi demak. Demak, ikkita savolga javob topdik hozircha. Yana ikkitasiga javob topsak kerak. Less time can be spent on exercise with gifted pupils who produce accurate work. Less time can be spent, mana haqida ma'lumot bor. Here. Shorten breath practice, fewer errors, teach quickly. Demak, bunda sure and Kanavansky yetibdi o'sha gapda. Shuni ham bini yozamiz. Self-reliance is a valuable tool when helping gifted students to reach their goals. Self-reliance, o'ziga tayanish. Hozircha menimcha hali o'qimadik shekilli. Hali o'qimadik. Balki o'qigandirmiz, ko'ramiz. Yo'q. Gifted children know how to channel their feelings to assist their learning. Keyin ko'ramiz bularni. Hozircha yo'q menimcha bular. Mana buni ishlatdim lekin. Shuni bilaman. Xo'p, bu savollarning javobini tugatdik. Oxirgi ikkita javobimiz mana bu qismda bo'ladi. Ikkita paragrafimizda bo'ladi. Oxirgi 4 ta javobimiz. Rangni o'zgartira olamiz. Xo'p, but scientific progress is not all theoretical. Knowledge is also vital to understanding outstanding performance. Individuals who know a great deal about the scientific domain will achieve at a higher level than those who don't. Research with creative scientists forward him to the conclusion that above a certain high level, characteristics such as independence seem to contribute more to reaching highest levels of expertise than intellectual skills due to the great demands of effort and time needed for learning and practice. Creativity in all forms can be seen as expertise mixed with a high level of motivation. Demak, bu qismda javoblarni topishimiz kerak. Really successful students have learned a considerable amount about their subjects. I don't know, we didn't get it. Very gifted child benefits from appropriate support from close relatives. Demak, close relatives ma'noda borda qisqasi. Close relative ma'noda familyni berishgan. Home education provision. Shuning uchun ham ayni belgilaymiz. Freemanni belgilaymiz. Mana bu 21da ayni Freemanni belgilaydik. Keyin ketamiz keyin. Hope gifted children how to know their feeling, assess their knowledge. Hope self-reliance, independence. Haqida ma'lumot bor yo'da. Qayerda edi independence? Independence brought him to the conclusion. Brought him. Bu Simon'dan bo'lmaydi endi bu qismda. Who? Esholt, like I don't know. Like what is it? What is it talking about? Katta ehtimol bilan bu Elshot bo'ladi, chunki brought him dedi. I don't know. Where is it self-reliance? Aniq emas, chunki bu juda tricky qilib bergan. Mana scientific progress is not theoretical. Okay, knowledge is vital to understanding performance. Individuals who know a great deal about specific domain will achieve. Mana really successful students learn a considerable amount about their subject. It's a vital great deal about specific domain will achieve a higher level than those who don't. Demak, shunda Elshot bo'lar ekan. Demak, aniq bo'ldi Elshot bo'lishi. Chunki ikki marta belgilashimiz kerak nimadir. Don't. Research with creative scientists by this brought him, Elshot, him boxing keyword, assignments and mass, to the conclusion that above a certain high level, characters such as independence, self-reliance, seem to contribute more. Demak, shunda shu ikkita javobda Elshotni belgiladik. Bu nima ekanligi tushunarli bo'ldigan umiddaman. Him degan keyword bor, independence haqida keyword bor, boxingda create about scientific domain or specific domain haqida ma'lumot bor. Shuning uchun ham shuni oldik. Undan keyingisiga o'tamiz. To sum up, learning is affected by emotions of both individual and significant others. Significant others. Mana javob bo'lmaydi deyman-da. Ko'ramiz. Positive emotions facilitate creative aspects of learning, and negative emotions inhibited. Fear, for example, can limit the development of curiosity. Seriously? Yeah. It which is a strong force in scientific advance because it motivates problem-solving behavior. A review of emotion in the learning of high IQ, highly achieving children. She found emotional forces in harness. They were not only curious but often had a strong desire to control their environment, improve their learning efficiency, increase their own learning resources. Huh. You have to learn how to know channel the feelings assist learning. Maybe. It's like channel their feelings. Strong desire. Yes, this is increase your own learning resources. Probably bu cares bo'ladi, mana bu i bo'ladi bu oxirgi javobimiz. Chunki anaqa haqida gapirilgan. Nima haqida gapirilgan? Shu emotsiyalar haqida gapirilgan. O'sha qanaqa qilib o'sha emotsional forcelarni bergan haqida gapirilgan. Shu bilan bugungi darsimiz o'z nihoyasiga yetadi. Agar xatolar bo'lgan bo'lsa, biz uzr so'raymiz. Agar kommentariyada yozib qoldirsanglar, biz buni qaytadan qilishga harakat qilamiz. Shu bilan bugungi darsimiz o'z nihoyasiga yetadi. Bye guys everyone.